Caitlin Clark at 5. And there have been lists out there that have Caitlin Clark out of the top 10 or at number 9 or at 10. ESPN's is her at 10. And I understand that people love because she is Caitlin Clark and then everyone loved her. So then now it's cool and it's in style to hate on her. There's no need. She is great.
That I make you drop a dime for, because my rhyme's cleaner than a three-piece at time for. And now it is time for me to be back on my bully days. Wrestling is fully, I'm back on the track.
Welcome into Splash, and I am your host, Keenan Warner, and I was just here a few days ago, hopefully to continue to do this as consistent as possible. Tuesdays and Fridays is the aim, is the goal for it. But over this stretch, we've had some good WNBA basketball, a lot of big games. They had a marquee game. One thing I want to quickly mention is love NBC. Love hearing Noah Eagle on the call for some of these games here. It's just been fun. It's fun to get the high-end commentators to be calling these games because they deserve all the respect, the love, the adulation that they get. And this also here's what the channel brings: love, adulation, and respect to the WNBA. And without further ado, let's just get into what's been going on in the WNBA over the last few days. And then I've got a little list at the end that I want to dive into. But Portland Fire, kind of on fire, especially when it's coming against the Liberty. The Portland Fire get an 81-74 win over the New York Liberty. The New York Liberty, who were on a back-to-back and lost both games, and we're going to talk about the other game here very shortly. But the Portland Fire they just play sound basketball, and that's the thing with these expansion teams, as you expect. It's like, oh, okay, expansion team, not going to have the same level of talent as these other rosters are going to have, but there's a lot of good players in the W, and because of that, when you take the 6th or 7th or 8th best player off of a Minnesota Lynx, that's still a really good player in Bridget Carlton, or that's still a really good player in someone like Sarah Ashley Barker, and then you have Carla Late, who was for the Golden State Valkyries last year. She's put into a position where she can succeed in a big role, and late game, she was dominating the game. She said, hey, Brianna Stewart, let's have this dance. And she pulls up with a left hezzy wing 3, just as confident as can be, got to the lane the possession before that. So when you put these women in opportunities to where they can really ball out and showcase their skills, you get this, and you get this kind of fire, athleticism, and you get this really tenacity from them to try to go out there and win games. Carlton didn't even have that great of a game, only 1 of 6 from 3, and she's been a flamethrower this year. But overall, they play tough, they play hard. Every possession you've got to work for, you've got to fight for, and that's the reason why they have a winning record at the moment. On the other side, the New York Liberty, who as of yesterday were Vegas favorites to win it all, have not looked great so far this season. They have lost a few games. They haven't been whole either. Benaja Laney Hamilton has not played majority of the season. Sabrina came back last game for 1 game and then sat out the second half of a back-to-back. Satu has not been healthy all season long. She's played a little bit, and even in this game, she went out with injury. Brianna Stewart has been playing well so far this year. Jonquel Jones has been playing pretty solid so far this year. Maureen Johannes. But when the Liberty become whole and they get their full roster, that's when they're going to look like, wow, this might just be the best team in the league, because when you run out a lineup of Jonquel, Brianna, Satu, Laney Hamilton, and Sabrina, or you want to put Johannes in there if you want a little bit more offense, but then you got that coming off at the bench with Han, that team's just going to be ridiculous. So overall, get the wins against the Liberty while you can, because there's going to be a point, especially with them having a new coach here, it's going to be a point mid-season where it's going to be very tough sledding to get the wins against the Liberty. But the Portland Fire have been playing extremely well this season. I mean, they're 2-1 against the Liberty. They got their first win. Sarah Ashley Barker had that putback to win the first game, lost the second game. They beat Toronto this year. They beat Connecticut this year. When you're a young team and you get to play against other young teams, you were able to utilize those games to try to build a culture, and that's what they've done so far. So the Portland Fire have been playing well this year. Carla Late has been balling. She's been shooting well from the floor. Bridget Carlton has again been a flamethrower from the floor. She is shooting on the year 43% from the floor, but 37% from three, taking 7 a game, shooting 91 from the line, late shooting 93 from the line right now. Sugg Sutton's been playing well for them when she has played. She hasn't played in all games so far, but Sarah Ashley Barker off the bench has been playing well. If anyone remembers from college, her last game in college was a 46-point game in an overtime loss, unfortunately, but her on the Sparks last year, I like that. This year, I like where she's in the position where she can flourish and she can succeed. So overall, the Portland Fire have been looking, as their name suggests, and they're only going forward, they're going to be very difficult to deal with, especially when these teams get, okay, this culture's back, this team is back, and then you might get a star to head along with the rest of these players. You're like, okay, we can really build something here in Portland, or if they get the position to draft the star, because there's going to be a lot coming out. Obviously, the Juju sweepstakes, the Hannah Hidalgo sweepstakes will be coming up here very shortly in the WNBA, so excited to see where they get to land, but they obviously have a lot still to do in college. Moving on, speaking of college teammates who are now pro teammates who played at the University of UConn, Paige, who's favorite player in the league, AZ, who a lot of people have had conversations about, should she have been the number 1 overall pick. I actually had a conversation about this with my brother yesterday on one of our brother's podcasts, and he was talking to me because he doesn't follow the WNBA like I do. So as a casual, he had a lot of different questions, and he was like, did Dallas really make the right decision with drafting AZ because he sees what Olivia Miles has done thus far? And only time will be able to tell, because Lauren Betts obviously is a great prospect. AZ Fudd was clearly a great prospect. So was Olivia Miles, and so was Offam, who hasn't played yet for Seattle. But when Seattle gets Ezzy, Dom, Aw, and Falage go out there, it's going to be difficult. But, I mean, Olivia, I think, has a little bit more high-end potential and has, can run a team and be there more, but for what Paige is already on that team, she can be a true point guard. She can be she's a true combo guard, but she can run that point with Arike, a 3-and-D specialist, the Klay Thompson style of player. Perfect. This can be their own little Splash Sisters kind of thing, obviously, that they've got over there. Not that Paige is going to be Steph Curry in the way that she plays, but in that tandem of a great player than Klay in that second role, that's what AZ can be. And we saw exactly what AZ can do when that 91-76 win over the New York Liberty. I mean, 17 in the third, overall 24 points as you saw. Paige took over the fourth with 24 herself, not 24 in the fourth, but overall in the game, 24 herself. Arike was letting it fly from 3. She was pretty consistent throughout the game, 5 of 20, but 5 of 13 from 3, you can take that. She had 19 on the day. Jessica Shepard, who had just put up a triple-double, I want to say 2 games ago, not against Atlanta, but the game before, 10, 11, and 6 on triple-double watch. Especially with this roster, she has the ability to kind of pick and pop, but really run this show from the post. Alana Smith, she'll need to come along for this team to really go where it wants to go, and that's really the piece that can unlock this team. But this team's got a lot of depth. Koyer, I pronounced that name, butchered that name. She's been playing so well for them this year off the bench. Her and AZ have been playing great off the bench. And then when you have someone like Isaiah James or Maddie Segrist that you can go to, when you have Lee Yaroo who you can throw in there, Odyssey Sims, a veteran who can play, this team just has a lot of depth, a lot of talent, and this is where you get to talking about, hey, if Paige can really be a top 5 player in this league this year, which I think she's already rivaling that, more on that here in a bit, foreshadowing, but if she can really be within the top 5-ish conversation, then I think the Dallas Wings have a true chance of being a dark horse contender in the league. Are they the Liberty? Are they the Fever? Are they the Aces? They're not. Are they even the Dream right now? No, they've struggled against them thus far, but I think by the end of the season, this team will be able to compete with all of those teams, and in a series, especially if you've got Paige, who can be as good as anybody on the floor on any given night. AZ's had a full year under her belt, and by that point, we saw how Caitlin, in her first year, after coming off a long playoff, collegiate March Madness run, how it took her a little bit, took Paige even a little bit to just start to get going. But the second half of the season, because they're such good basketball players, they can really flourish. And we can see that here. I think we'll see that here with AZ, and this is really her coming out party. And then obviously you have Big Shot Enrique, Jessica Shepard, who's been great, and Alana Smith, who was a co-defensive player of the year last year. This team is going to be mighty difficult to deal with. And then on the other side there, welcome back Sabrina Ionescu. That was good to see. She had a great first half, a bad second half. I think she had 11, 4, and 6 in the first half. She didn't score in the second half. 1 rebound, 1 assist. So she was irrelevant in that second half. Brianna Stewart played fine. Satu Sabali was really the piece for them that was going off in this game. But overall, in that second half, AZ Fudd got going, and then the New York Liberty had nothing and could do nothing with the Dallas Wings. And that leads into the Dallas Wings now being 4-3. 3-1 over their last 4 games since obviously the tongue lashing that Jose Fernandez, coach of the Wings, gave to them. Talked about that on the last show. If you haven't seen it, Jose Fernandez basically just said, "We're selfish. This is not what good teams do. Please, let's figure this out," in much more vulgar tones there. I talked about it a little bit more on the last show. So if you do want to see it, go check out the last episode. You can see that there. But Washington beat Washington right up. They beat the Chicago Sky. They beat the Liberty. They beat the Fever. Those are 4 teams that all could make the playoffs theoretically this year. It's probably a couple of them may not, but all of them could. They're all very talented teams. And then they lost to the Atlanta Dream twice, playoff team. And then they lost to the Lynx, another playoff team or a playoff caliber team. So far, this hasn't been an easy schedule. They haven't gotten some of the expansion teams. They haven't gotten some of the younger teams in the league to where they might be able to take advantage of it. But a 4-3 start thus far, and makes sense that when Paige is your leading scorer, you're doing well. Honestly, I think that's where they need to go, and Paige needs to look to score a little bit more because she is so highly, highly efficient. I mean, she has 19 points on the season, but shooting from the floor, she is 52% from the floor, 48% from 3, 80 from the line, which is incredibly low for her, and she'll probably get that up to become a 50-40-90 specialist already this year, or if not, somewhere really, really close to that. Enrique's not shooting great from the floor, but for her career, she has been a lower field goal percentage person. I mean, I don't think she has shot higher than 41% in her career. Right now, she's at 34%, which is even still low for her. 34 from 3, though. Jessica Shepard playing well this season. 11 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. AZ Fudd off the bench, 11. She's been getting after it defensively. So this roster overall, good team. A team that can really get things done, and I think will be very difficult to deal with here moving forward. Those are just 2 of the very good games that we had in the W, but there's been other ones. The Fever beat the Golden State Valkyries. That was a game that on the last show I had talked about going into before that Friday game that I thought that would be a really fun game, and it was. Tiffany Hayes and Caitlin Clark going back and forth, drawing a bit on the floor. You love to see the fire, the tenacity, which is what makes the W so fun, because each of these games and each of these players are like, yeah, we want to go win this game every single game, and sometimes you lack that when you're watching the NBA, that you don't get that urgency, you don't get that sense of we need to go win this game maybe in a mid-January game, but you do get that in every WNBA game for the most part. Obviously, you're going to have your days where teams are lax, but that happens. That's obviously just the ebbs and flows of the season. You got Minnesota beating Chicago, Portland over Toronto, the Sparks in Vegas. What a good game. Kelsey Plum, 38. Asia had a big game. Nalissa Smith played well. Kennedy Carter played well. But it was really Kelsey Plum announcing, like, hey, she talked on Sue Bird's podcast, Bird's Eye View, I want to say last year. And she was talking about the move and going to the Sparks is that she wanted to run her own team, and she wanted to be in the mindset of, hey, can I really do this as a leader? I know I can do this as a complementary piece. I know I can do this as a star on a really good team in the Aces. Can I do this on my own? Can I do what I did in Washington and bring my team to the promised land? And that's what, or close to the promised land, at least in Washington, for here, hopefully to the promised land. She's got a team around her too, and the Sparks, they look good. But Kelsey with 38 in every big bucket down the stretch, she was not afraid. That was another game where you're like, oh, wow, this is just special, fun basketball to watch. But been a lot of good games. Today we have an off day, but tomorrow we got another game. We got another 5-game slate that we're going to talk about here momentarily. But first, we've got, obviously I talked about splash highlights and things that I want to bring up, and this is one of those splash highlights now. But I want to highlight the top 10 players in the WNBA. Who are they? This also is players who are injured right now but are not going to be injured long term in the season do count. So Nafisa is going to be on this list essentially. I hope I'm not spoiling anything because everyone knows how good she is. But let's do it, because a lot of people have their own lists, and I've seen multiple lists out there where I'm like, that person feels too low, that person feels too high. And so I think I got a list that is just right. But let's go on and let's talk about the top 10 players in the WNBA. At number 10, Allisha Gray. Allisha Gray is averaging 22 this year with 5 rebounds. She's been playing great for the Dream. She is the Dream's best player, and you could argue that because some nights it's like, is that Ryan Howard that's going to be the best player? And then there will be a night or two where you're like, okay, Angel might be. Jordan Canada had 11 points and 14 assists the other day. They have a really good team over there that can get it done. But Allisha Gray last year, all WNBA first team, and she was that for a reason. She played phenomenal last season, and I think that she is one of the most underrated players in the league because she's a player that a lot of people don't talk about at the level, because obviously you talk about your stars, you talk about the people who are going to be marquee, and even though she's in a big market in Atlanta, she's not one of the marquee quote-unquote players, even though 3-point shooting champion, so a little bit marquee there. But Allisha Gray I have at number 10. Number 9, Jackie Young. This year has not been the greatest of years for Jackie Young. Only 9 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. She hasn't scored in her last 2 games, but we know what Jackie Young is. We know how good she is. All WNBA second team last year. She's just had a couple bad games, a couple bad stretches here. But as they still have Kennedy Carter off the bench, she's finding her offensive positioning, because Kennedy Carter, obviously someone who's putting up 20 points in 22 minutes, that's a bucket. Jackie's going to find her place. She was a number 1 overall pick for a reason. She is a champion for a reason, and we know how good Jackie Young truly is, so not concerned about her at all for her sluggish start to the season, but she is an amazing basketball player offensively and defensively. She can be Miss Triple-Double if she needed to. Jackie Young at 9, I don't think there's really much conversation to be had about why she needs to be in this top 10. At 8, Kelsey Plum, you could argue she could be higher, but that just showcases why there's so many good players in the W. Kelsey Plum, 27 points a game this year, 2 rebounds, 6 assists. Last year, she played well, but it looks like she's even taken a step up from what she was able to do last year. She averaged 19.5 last year in her first year with the Sparks. She started off the year hot, kind of tailed off a bit. So far this year, shooting 59% from the floor, 49% from 3, and she's got a roster around her. She doesn't have Rakia, another big scorer this year, but what she does have is talent. She has Cameron Brink, she has Ray Burrell, Sanaya Fagan, nice rookie, Tanaya Latson, nice rookie, but you have De'Erica Hamby, you have none other than Nneka Ogwumike, you've got Erica Wheeler, Ariel Atkins, so she's got some talent around her, but overall, this right now, it's not Nneka's team this time around in the Sparks uniform, it is Kelsey Plum's team. She deserves everything. She has been an undersized quote-unquote guard her entire career, but it doesn't matter because she is one of the best bucket getters in all of the WNBA. She continues to be that, and that's why she is number 8, but she is not number 7, because even though she doesn't have her own team, Sabrina Ionescu that is, we know what Sabrina can do on a basketball floor. We clearly saw she had the biggest shot in Liberty history with that 3 against the Minnesota Lynx in Game 3 of the playoffs. In the finals. We know what Sabrina represents. Obviously, she goes to the NBA 3-point contest. That's Steph versus Sabrina. She scores 26. Everybody else scores 26, not named Steph Curry. She is one of the greatest shooters in WNBA history. She's got unlimited range, but she also can pass at an extremely high level. We saw it from Oregon. We see it now. And if she had her own team, if she was in Kelsey Plum's spot, I think she could do a lot of the same and maybe even a little bit more, because I think that she's a little bit more, and she's a touch better of a distributor. This is really parsing here because both of them are amazing. It's why they're at 7, why they're at 8. If you wanted to slide Kelsey Plum in front of Sabrina right now, especially because Sabrina's only played 1 game this year, completely understand. But again, Sabrina last year was all WNBA second team, and that was over Kelsey Plum. So just overall, I think that Sabrina Ionescu is a little bit better of a player than Kelsey Plum. But at 6, who I think is a little bit better than the both of them at the guard position, is Paige Beckers. At this point, I understand that she's young, all WNBA second team last year, 19 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. We just talked about her shooting 52% from the floor, 48% from the 3-point line, only 80 from the line, but that will go up before the end of the season. She is, the GMs voted, and she was number 1 for team person you're going to want to start a team around at this point, because she's really got it. Everybody knows it. Everybody in the W talks about how Paige has really got next, because it's Paige, and she has been that ever since she has been growing up in Minnesota. Obviously, there was that viral thing of this is going to be the next star. Obviously, the picture of her in, I think, 5th or 6th grade, whatever it was. But she is amazing, and she is 6th on this list, and that will probably be the lowest she is going to be for quite some time in this league. I can't imagine her dipping below 6 for a long while in this league, possibly like a decade plus. And another person who might not be dipping below the position they're at right now in this league is Caitlin Clark at 5. And there have been lists out there that have Caitlin Clark out of the top 10 or at number 9 or at 10. ESPN's is her at 10. And I understand that people love because she is Caitlin Clark, and then everyone loved her. So then now it's cool and it's in style to hate on her. There's no need. She is great. 24 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists this season, making big shots, playing very well, playing with fire, putting effort in on the defensive end. Is she the greatest defender? No. But do you have to guard her differently than every single player in the W, and that's including Sabrina? Yes. Does Sabrina have the same level of range as Caitlin? She does. Sabrina can pull up from the parking lot, so we know that. But with the way that Caitlin Clark can pass the ball, one of the top 2 passers in the league, and she might not be 2. Shout out to Chelsea Gray, would be the other person. But Caitlin is somehow, we just can't decide to put her like right in her rightful spot. It's always, she is the best, and she is this, and she is everything to the WNBA, and there's nothing else there, and that's a little strong. She's not the best player in the WNBA right now. I think even she herself would say, overall, don't deserve that title yet, even though she probably feels every night that she's the best player on the floor. Of course she should. But also these people are like, she's barely a top 10 player. All she does is this. Just get straight down the middle on her. It is okay. She is a very, very, very good player. She is great. She is box office. She is fun. She can help lead organizations, and she'll help lead this organization to being a champion. She is a future MVP. She is a future Hall of Famer. She is a future captain of the USA basketball team. She is a future all of that if she wants to be, and clearly she has the effort and wants to be. But overall, Caitlin, top 5 player in the league. Her and Paige are both going to be going up there. By the end of the year, that could even flip-flop. So Caitlin might be as low as 6 at some point, because her and Paige are really duking it out for who's going to be the best of that 2020 high school class, which we expected it to be Paige, but Caitlin came onto the scene. And again, I talked to my brother about this on the Warner Brothers podcast. Check out our latest episode. It's going to be coming out here very, very soon. But at number 4, though, the regular culprits are at number 4, 3, 2, and 1. It's just in which order do you want to put them in. This is my order for it. Alyssa Thomas at 4. Some people like to have her as high as 2. Some people have her a little bit lower. I mean, Alyssa Thomas is just a dog. 18, 8, and 8 this season. She is the strongest player in the W. She can get to whatever spot she wants to. The thing with her is that she just doesn't have a three-point shot, but she can orchestrate any offense, and anytime you have to look across and say, I got to deal with that bull of a person over there, that bull of a woman, yeah, Alyssa Thomas is just an amazing basketball player, has been for a long while. She did her talents there for a while in Connecticut, and now she's in Phoenix, and she has done nothing different other than just be even a more efficient scorer. That's pretty much all she has done, is just become a better scorer because she's had to do a little bit more of the scoring. Number 3, Breanna Stewart, greatest collegiate player basketball's ever seen. 4 national championships. I think lost like 4 games throughout her time there. Most outstanding player 4 times in a row. You're never going to see it again. But Breanna Stewart, just an amazing basketball player, has a great team around her with Sabrina, with Satu, who's a top 20 player, with Jonquel, who's around a top 20 player. So that's why the Liberty are so good. But Breanna Stewart is the best player on that team, though she might not be the most flashy, though she might not be the most fun player out of all the players to watch. She's still 21-9 on highly efficient shooting from the floor this year. 45% from the floor. Her 3 ball's been a little bit down at 20%, but 89% from the line. Still 21-9, still great, still a person who can be in the running for MVP every single year and will be in the running for MVP as long as she stays in her prime. And then number 2, then, because we know number 1, number 2, then that is Nafisa. I understand Nafisa has not played thus far this year, but she'll be back. And 23, 7-3, 50, 40, 90 last season from the floor, 3-point line and the line. An amazing ambassador for the game of basketball. Obviously, those two together, Breanna and Nafisa, really the head of Unrivaled, which has been a great league, a fun league to watch, and something that I think has really progressed a lot of the players. I think Kelsey has gotten better because of the fact that she's gotten to play consistent high-level basketball in the States, hasn't had to travel as much, helps her life out a bunch, obviously her getting money. Same with Paige, same with a lot of these players. So overall, and what they've done with Unrivaled, I think, is just something you have to speak on, have to give kudos to, and something that is amazing for the league, or for women's basketball, I should say. But in the league, we know how good Nafisa is. But though Nafisa is great, and though Nafisa is amazing, she is not A'ja Wilson. And everybody who watches basketball knows that A'ja Wilson is the best player in the WNBA. And in my humble opinion, it's not too close. Not that, like, if she's and Asia's a 99, Nafisa's a 96, 97, Brianna's a 96, Alyssa Thomas 96, Caitlin 95, and we go down from there. But that's essentially what we've got here. A'ja is the best player in the W, and it's just not a debate. MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, champion, coming off another MVP. Like, it's just, what can we do? What are you going to do with her? She's going to go down as the greatest WNBA basketball player to ever live. I'm on record saying that. I'm going to be on record saying it again. It's not really even too much of a debate for me. I think it's just going to become a thing where everyone's like, yeah, it's the greatest of all time. It's the greatest we've ever seen. And it doesn't have to be a conversation. It doesn't have to be an argument. And we don't have to say, oh, well, this happened, or, oh, well, this happened. You know, Bill Russell, amazing. Kareem, amazing. Magic, Bird, amazing. When you saw Jordan, you were like, that's just the greatest player I've ever seen. Yes, there might be players who have more accolades, there might be players that have more this or more that, but that's just the greatest player I've ever seen, and there's not the debate. And then obviously now there is with LeBron, but there's just not the debate at the time. The thing with that, too, though, is she's going to have like, all the accolades, too. She's going to be amazing with the accolades, but this right here are the top 10 players in my humble estimation in the WNBA. 1, A'ja Wilson. 2, Nafisa Collier. 3, Breanna Stewart. 4, Alyssa Thomas. 5, Caitlin Clark. 6, Paige Becker. 7, Sabrina Ionescu. 8, Kelsey Plum. 9, Jackie Young. 10, Alicia Gray. And Respects to Kelsey Mitchell, who was all WNBA second team. Respects to Aaliyah Boston, who was all WNBA second team last year as well. Respects to Ryan Howard, who is Alicia Gray's teammate and some nights is better than Alicia Gray. Respect to all of those players, Satu Sabali and many others who all could be fighting for around that 9 to 10 spot. That's just how deep the league is right now, but I think that these are going to be the top 10 players, or these are the top 10 players in the WNBA, and I don't see it changing too much. Honestly, if there's one person who I think is coming for a spot, it's Aaliyah Boston. I think that she is just an amazing defensive player. Offensively, she's adding more and more to her game. She could arguably be a top 10 player right now, but I give the nod to Alicia Gray. I think that Alicia Gray deserves it, the way that she has run that organization there in Atlanta and the way that she has helped put that team on her back and make them a formidable opponent in the WNBA, and a team that's going to be forced to be reckoned with here for the years to come. But that is the top 10 players in the WNBA from me. These are the reasons why I went through all of it. Love to hear your thoughts. Love to hear the comments there, guys. And if you haven't yet, I know sometimes you got to see the content, you got to see there. Hit that subscribe button, though. It does mean a lot if we help grow and help build this, because if you guys love the WNBA like I love the WNBA, just watching it, hit that subscribe button, because we can grow and we can talk about the WNBA together. And if not, if you guys are just like kind of casual fans and want to just hear someone talk about the W, like, oh, let me get this here so I don't have to pay attention to everything, I got you. I'm going to be watching regardless. So thank you guys appreciate everybody here. This has been Splash with your host, Keenan Warner, and we'll be back to see you guys again very soon.